contract theory.
Well, I thought you liked the Constitution. I thought you liked our founding
Right, the
fathers.
Constitution that talks about, this is so important. The Constitution actually rejected social contract theory. It said our rights come from what? From God, not from government. That government should not infringe upon your rights.
Charlie Kirk destroys woke Kyle Kulinski in this heated debate with facts as these two battle over what's best for America, and soy boy Kyle Kulinski gets lost in his feelings and gets crushed with the smoke that Charlie Kirk is spitting. So let's get in.
Is that the size of the corporate tax rate, as it was lowered, so it was lowered from 38% to about 22%, we're actually seeing compliance go up. So you cited the 1950s. So the 1950s tax rate was marginally ineffective, two different things, but it was only over 90%, right? And
No, I'm talking about the corporate tax. I wasn't talking about the marginal tax rate.
Oh, you're not individual. Okay, I stand corrected. Then the individual, the corporate tax was what, 40%, 50% in the 1950s? But
Right, it accounted for 33% of all federal tax rates.
Right, so now we don't have the numbers yet in, but it was 8% last year. It's projected to exceed over 13 to 15% because now corporations are complying with the actual federal tax rates, because that's what happens when you lower the tax rates. Less people put their money overseas, and more people comply with the actual laws on the books. The third thing,
hold on,
I want to get to some philosophy really quick.
Let me respond just real quick. The effective rate went from 23% to 12%, so that's not true. The effective rate went down under Donald Trump.
Corporation or individual?
Corporate.
12% for corporate tax rate?
Yes, the effective corporate tax rate went from 23%
No, I mean,
to 12%.
It should be 0%, but yeah, that's perfectly fine.
That's a very unpopular position. Please proceed.
And I'm happy to elaborate on it. This is a bigger philosophical point, and this is where Kyle and I will find no agreement whatsoever, respectfully. Is it our money or is it government's money? And that's a really important discussion to have, because you frame this as the creation of wealth is somewhat of a bad thing. I'm not going to try to mislabel what you're saying, but just because someone got rich does not mean anyone got poor. In order to get rich in a market society, means you have to employ people, you have to have a good idea, you have to voluntarily sell it over a long period of time, people have to purchase that product, you have to continue to prove yourself, you have to probably buy property or rent property, you have to get money flowing through the economy. Just because someone got rich does not mean they went around and stole the money away from people. Wealth creation in a market society requires innovation, entrepreneurship, something that makes every single person in this room richer. So when someone gets rich in a market society, they did not pillage and plunder and get that money with putting guns to people's heads. Instead, they were creative, they were entrepreneurs, and they were innovative, something that should be rewarded. And so that's where the philosophical difference is. You look at wealth creation as something that might be bad. I don't want to mislabel it, but your preferred presidential candidate says billionaires should not exist. I believe that every single person in this room that is using an iPhone, that goes to Amazon.com and uses Google and Facebook, your life has been made better thanks to the profit incentive that only someone that can become a billionaire is made possible. A market economy is the greatest, most assured way to create wealth for all people. Socialism is much more about hating the rich than helping the poor. I yield my time to Kyle.
Okay, well, allow me to steal from your favorite, well, he's president now, but wrong. So, I just want to test your theory real quick on wealth creation here. So, I'm going to give you two facts. I just want a yes or no answer. Jeff Bezos has over $150 billion. There are 50,000 homeless veterans in this country. If you could take 1% of his money to end homelessness for veterans, would you do it?
I hope he gives it voluntarily. I will not put a gun to his head.
That's a no.
I'll tell you why. First of all, that's a false choice. That's a false choice. Let me tell you why.
It's a thought experiment.
Because we have spent hundreds of billions of dollars to try to solve homelessness by taking money from the rich over the last 40 years. You want to solve homelessness? Stop electing Democrats to city like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle.
Donald Trump is president, and we have 500,000 homeless people. That makes no sense.
I don't actually love Amazon or Jeff Bezos, but you're starting to make me like him even more throughout the course of the debate. Jeff Bezos did not make his money going around city to city with automatic machine guns stealing people's money away. Half this room probably uses Amazon on a weekly basis. You have to be innovative. You have to be an entrepreneur. He employs hundreds of thousands of people in an extraordinarily competitive market. He did not get it by being a robber baron. That's how you get rich in countries that are socialist countries.
Wrong.
You get rich in a capitalist society, you must have a good idea. People must believe in that idea and continue to purchase that idea over a long period of time.
There's this thing called a social contract.
Oh, this is
a very simple thing.
When did I sign that, Kyle? I must have missed it.
Okay, well, you can go live in Somalia where they have none. Good
All
luck.
right, so you believe in the Rousseauian theory that all of us are nothing more than a collective. I disagree.
I didn't say that. I said there's a social contract.
Who do you think wrote the social contract theory?
Well, I thought you liked the Constitution. I thought you liked our founding
Right, the Constitution that talks about, this is so important. The Constitution actually rejected social contract theory. It said our rights come from what? From God, not from government. That government should not infringe upon your rights. The Constitution rejected coercive government action. The United States Constitution rejected the idea that actually the entire United States Constitution was a warning sign against having government come too much infringing of our rights. This is the actual philosophical debate of our time.
Let me know how you feel in the comments, folks. But Kyle Kulinski, to me, everything from all of his questions that he keeps asking Charlie Kirk just reeks of nothing but just hating billionaires. Even Charlie Kirk said, I mean, the head of his party says there shouldn't be billionaires. No billionaires. I think it's Bernie Sanders that said that. It's just absurd. Like, they just don't like the idea of anyone being rich and having that much money. But to Charlie Kirk's point, you know, they wouldn't be billionaires like Jeff Bezos if there weren't billions of people all over the world using the service that he created. Like, I mean, I don't have to explain, obviously, how big Amazon is, but that's why you have billionaires, because you have global companies that service billions and billions of people, and all of these people who have all this money, they own something. They own stock. They own a company. Like, if you want to get that wealthy, you have to own something that provides a service to millions or billions of people worldwide, and you can get to that money. But the only reason that, you know, they're buying it is because you created something that, you know, it actually helps and benefits their lives. Like, they're getting something out of it. And this is a fair transaction. You know, we didn't used to have people with such excess wealth in America. Yes, but companies then weren't global. They were more national. But when you go from one country and then you amplify that, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times the amount of people that you can sell to, yes, there's an explosion of wealth. So that's just naturally what's going to happen. But trying to demonize those people for, you know, creating something that you use daily because you enjoy it, like, it's just silly. Like, the people like Kyle Kulinski don't really understand the cause and effect relationship of their arguments. They try to look through this from a moral and an ethical lens, but not a practical one of whether or not this is even going to work to begin with. And that's one of the biggest problems with socialism and communism and all of this crap on the left, is they try to look at life through that view, but that's not how people necessarily or operate in most time. It's what's practical. It's what, you know, helps my life. It's what I can actually use. And only if you have the freedom to express that in a market economy and create something or pursue something is to the best benefit of everybody involved. And that's what he doesn't seem to get. But let me know your thoughts about that down below. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, and let's get back in.
Because Kyle, you look at the entire political kind of system, and you say, okay, there should be more government action because we must look ourselves first and foremost as a collective. Therefore, Jeff Bezos, the only way he was able to get that amount of money was eventually try to exploit people over a longer period of time. I look at that and I say, wow. That is a beautiful thing that someone is able to create that much wealth for that many people. And guess what?
And not pay his people a living wage until we forced him to.
Hold on a second.
We'll let Charlie finish and then you'll have a response. We'll move on.
I believe in private collective bargaining. I also believe in a booming economy. We have more job openings than people to fill it. If people at Amazon are quite happy, when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that Amazon's the worst thing in the world, she was responded to by Amazon worker after Amazon worker and said our wages are going up. We have wonderful living
with Jeff Bezos standing right behind them.
But again, I want to make myself perfectly clear. I'm actually highly critical of Amazon. I'm really glad they didn't get the $10 billion taxpayer-funded contract for their company. However, I will take a definitive stand against the demonization of wealth creation in our country. Because
nobody's doing that. You're talking to yourself.
Well, your preferred candidate says billionaires should not exist.
But you know what that means, Charlie? Somebody could have $999 million and they're still really rich and they're going to be okay.
Let's talk about that.
And we can give people health care and we can give people college.
So let's talk about it. The rule should not be how do we not have billionaires. The rule should be how did we create $22 trillion of wealth in this country? Is it because we have the most people? No. Most natural resources? No. It's because of a market economy that embraces risk-taking, entrepreneurship, and the individual. Countries across the world have tried everything from exploitation and stealing money away. India has more people. China has more people. The only reason China is able to get any sort of form of economic growth, they tried state-run coercion, is they actually embraced more market principles over the last 15, 20 years, despite the evil communist Chinese party. Kyle, here's the question I have for you, is do you believe when people create a certain amount of wealth, from Facebook or Google or Apple or Home Depot or Amazon, the companies that everyone in this room use, Coca-Cola on down, do you believe that's inherently exploitation, or do you believe they had to get that through voluntary transaction and enriching people all the way along the way?
I don't believe it's inherently exploitation, but I also believe we need rules and we need referees. And I also think
I totally
that
agree.
I see shades of gray where you see black and white. And your whole thing is like, oh, the free market is so great, it's
this
so
is an
wonderful.
important point.
No, hold on here. Because I'm actually the real moderate on this, because I think sometimes the answer is the free market, and sometimes, yes, the answer is government. Government is not inherently evil either. Government has done a lot of good things. I mean,
So look,
that shouldn't be controversial. If you believe in having the military, you believe in the government. If you believe in hate roads, you believe in the government.
But right now, as things stand, we have a fourth branch of government. You'll agree with this. We have a fourth branch of government. We are the most regulated economy in the Western Hemisphere outside of some of the Western European countries. Federal Trade Commission, the Employment Prevention Agency, which is also called the Environmental Protection Agency. We have agency after agency, hundreds of agencies with unelected, unknown, and unchecked bureaucrats. And guess what? They favor the power of the well-connected, the few, and the rich that are able to afford the lobbyists. And you look at the, so Kyle, here's another question that I'm just always perplexed about.
He wants to ask us a question, so let's let him
No,
jump.
I mean, it's fine. Okay, but let me close the point. So you say, Charlie, I look at things as the way they are. We right now spend over $1 trillion of our own money to regulate the economy. That is far too much money. The best regulation is competition. The best regulation is encouraging more entrepreneurship. The best regulation is empowering individuals to be able to compete against the big power brokers that you think that need to be disrupted.
Okay, so let's move on to culture. One of the big parts of Trump's campaign was talking about political correctness. So Kyle, I want to get your thoughts on this. After a few years, how are we doing on that issue? Where do you draw the line? And generally, how do you think our political climate has improved or gotten worse since that time?
I mean, honestly, this kind of bores me, this topic, because it's like, okay, whatever, political correctness. I think I'm relatively politically incorrect. I say things that piss people off all the time. I mean, it is what it is, but my problem with the right is that oftentimes they take this term of political correctness, and what they really want to do is use that as an excuse to say things that are factually incorrect. So when Donald Trump goes out there and he says, for example, like he did on the campaign trail, that we need a total and complete shutdown of Muslims coming into this country, that's not politically incorrect, that's just incorrect. You're just a dick, because there's like 1 billion people who are Muslims. And they're not all guilty for the sins of Al-Qaeda. So, yeah, that's my take on it. I think I'm politically incorrect myself, but I think that oftentimes people on the right use it to get away with saying things that are just factually incorrect.
Charlie. So I guess the question is, are we more or less politically? I mean, look, it depends on where you live in the country. I mean, in California, it's perfectly fine to border jump or line cut to come into our country, but if you misgender someone, you could face prison time in California. So
That's
I don't
totally not true.
It is. The law is on the books. There is a law on the books that if you're an employee of the state government of California, if you misgender someone as an employee of the state of California intentionally, you could potentially go to prison for workplace harassment.
Don't
That is
clap
speech
at that.
police.
This is hyperbolic nonsense. We have the First Amendment, and that's the supreme law of the land.
Opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. I visit college campuses all the time. A lot of what you say is...
I know you're so oppressed, bro. Go wear a diaper again.
I visit college campuses all the time, and I'll tell you, Kyle, if you saw, and I think if you're intellectually honest, you'll agree with this, that the speech police that happens all across the country, where it's telling people that they can't say certain things, where they're cracking down on saying America's the greatest country in the history of the world, I have to say that these are the types of things that should be really concerning. And there is a death of free speech in this country, and people like Bill Maher really respect that and understand
I agree with that too.
That stems from political correctness, right? That comes from the speech police, but you're really only seeing it on one side.
No, that's not true at all. I believe in free speech, which is why I think Colin Kaepernick should be in the NFL right now.
Yes!
Well, Colin Kaepernick was never fired from the NFL because he decided to kneel during the national anthem. He's not in the NFL because he's a horrible quarterback.
That's another point that Charlie Kirk is completely right on, and it's a false narrative that the left tried to use, trying to say Colin Kaepernick was fired because he took a knee and all that. You can look at the NFL's own stats, and Colin Kaepernick was the worst quarterback in the NFL at the time. He sucked. He wasn't good. He produced no numbers. And then he also made himself a complete pain in the ass for anybody to deal with by doing that. So you're already the worst quarterback in the NFL, and now you're more of a liability for anybody to deal with. Why would you expect anyone to keep you around? And then, Kyle Kulinski, if you didn't catch it earlier, he actually contradicted himself. Charlie Kirk is trying to say there are laws in California that force you to say something against your will, right? But Kyle Kulinski fires back with, no, that's ridiculous. Free speech is the law of the land. It's like, you just proved his point. Like, because Kyle Kulinski is so lost in his feelings, he doesn't even understand what he's saying. Like, if free speech was indeed the law in the land, then there would be no laws on the books forcing people to identify someone other than what they are or forcing any form of speech. But that's Kyle Kulinski's party. That's his state. That's California. That's all blue. So there's no independents. There's no Republicans. That is all Democratic doing. And then obviously you saw the little insult with the little diaper. I mean, Kyle Kulinski is just a child. And another point, if you missed it earlier, when he was talking about Bezos and these billionaires and trying to get money to the poor, remember, he used government as the means to do that. He said, we need rules and we need referees. But your rules and referees are simply forcing money to be taken away from someone and given to someone else. And it's not even money earned. Again, these people make all this money because they own companies. They have stock. They have equity. That's where their real wealth is. So if you want government to take assets away and ownership and force that into the hands of other people, like, what is that? Like, is that really to the benefit of anybody? Because if any of these, people down below, if they ever get big and they, become a billionaire, guess what? The same thing's going to happen to them. And this is where it forces everyone down. It doesn't bring anybody up. But folks, let me know whether or not you agree with that down below, and put in the comments what you thought about what Charlie Kirk had to say destroying woke Kyle Kulinski in this heated debate. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.